Well, I guess it's we've 7:01, so we'll call the meeting to order tonight. Welcome to the 9th electronic meeting of Oxford County Council. And in order to ensure the meeting runs as smoothly as possible, I'd like to remind council and staff of a few housekeeping rules. In order to minimize background noise, I ask that you mute your microphones unless you're speaking to an item. This will also ensure the camera doesn't zoom in on anyone unintentionally. As a courtesy to those watching or listening from home, please introduce yourself prior to speaking to an item. And in order to ensure quorum is maintained at all times, I ask the council advise if they are leaving the meeting. Otherwise, we have no way of knowing so. In the event of technical difficulties, the meeting will be temporarily stopped to deal with the issue. And this agenda contains one closed session report. Live streaming will cease during that period, and we will restart following the closed session. And I will now ask the clerk to, take a roll call, including the members of the executive management team.
Thank you, Warden Martin. Deputy Warden Molnar.
Present.
Councillor Birch.
Present.
Councillor Komisky.
Present.
Alternate Councillor Lauder.
Present.
Councillor Mayberry.
Present.
Councillor McKay.
Present.
Councillor Peterson.
Present.
Councillor Ryan.
Present.
Councillor Tate is absent. Councillor Talbot.
Present.
On to staff. Michael Dubin.
Present.
Ben Hadley.
Present.
Okay. Lynn Buchner.
Present.
Tiger.
Present.
Gord Huff. David Simpson.
Present. Present.
Present.
Thank you.
Did you want to go back and check on Paul again and Gord?
I did hear Gord.
Oh, okay then.
Paul Beaton, are you on the line?
No, he's- okay.
Thank you.
So that brings us down to approval of the agenda, and Councillor Talbot.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Birch, resolved that the agenda be approved.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Councillor Talbot?
Thank you, Warden. I, Sandra Talbot, declare pecuniary interest related to item consideration of correspondence 8.1, Southwestern Integrated Fiber Technology, the monthly dashboard, August 2020. And it is in the open meeting agenda Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020, because of I have an immediate family member who is an approved contractor on the SWIFT project.
Okay, thank you. So are there any other disclosures? Seeing none, then that'll bring us down to adoption of council minutes, and again, Councillor Talbot.
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Birch, resolved that the council minutes of September 9th, 2020 be adopted.
Are there any errors or omissions or any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the question then. Those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. So, this now brings us to the public meeting portion of the agenda, of which there is one. Due to the nature of a virtual meeting, the public has been asked to submit a request to speak in advance. Only those who have registered will join the meeting, and when recognized by the chair to speak, you must provide your name and address for the public record before giving comments. With regards to planning matters, only the applicant or people who provide oral or written comments regarding the application are entitled to appeal council's decision to the local planning appeal tribunal. Please keep your comments to planning matters only and avoid repeating comments that have already been expressed. If you have not provided oral or written comments but wish to receive formal notice of council's decision on the matter, please contact the clerk's office, and the notice will provide further information on appeal of the decision. So we now have a resolution to go into a public meeting pursuant to the Planning Act, and Councillor Komisky.
Thank you, Warden. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Ryan. Resolved that the council rise and go into a public meeting pursuant to the Planning Act, and that the Warden chair the public meeting.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. Those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. This is for a draft plan of subdivision in the town of Ingersoll, and the way we do this, the planner will give his report, and then there will be questions of the planner from the members of council, points of clarification. And from there, we will then go to, if the applicant wishes to present comments, and then there will be questions of the members of council for them. And from there, we will go to members of the public if they would like to have any comments. So with that, then, Gord, I will turn the motion over to the floor over to you to present your report.
Mr. Warden, my name is Gord Huff. I'm the Director of Planning at the County of Oxford. This application before you is in the town of Ingersoll. It's an application initiated by the town of Ingersoll for lands just west of the Highway 401 Harris Street intersection. The lands are designated for industrial use, and over the last number of years, the town has undertaken quite a bit of work to bring the subdivision plan to the draft approval stage. The town has undertaken an environmental impact study to address the open space land you see to the west of the area that's zoned MG6 in pink. They've also undertaken a traffic study. Both of these were used to inform the zoning that applies to the lands right now. That was also approved by the town several years ago, 2017. The subdivision plan itself is pretty straightforward. Try to get that here for you. There you go. As you'll see, it's essentially a number of streets with large blocks of land. This is pretty common for industrial subdivision plans of this nature. Basically provides lots of flexibility, provides parcel sizes that that the town has through their work has considered to be appropriate for the type of development they're trying to attract here. All in all, the application again is designated for the lands are designated for industrial use. They're currently zoned appropriately. The plan of subdivision is of a design that is satisfactory, and there are a number of conditions attached to the report that will need to be fulfilled as any subdivision plan. So having said that, Mr. Warden, those are my comments, and thank you.
Okay, are there any questions for the Gord with regards to the report that he just gave with regards to the industrial land subdivision? Councillor Molnar?
Yeah, just for the public record, and I assume I know the answer to this, but in the report itself, there was reference to resolution from Ingersoll Town Council. I think we just, because of the timing, it wasn't in here. We just get a confirmation that that was an affirmative, so that kind of closes that on the report, please.
Gord, or do we want to go to Ted for that? Councillor Komisky, or Gord?
Mr. Warden, I can answer that. I know that the public meeting was held earlier this week than last week, and and the town did support the application before.
Thank you.
Just to close that off, thank you.
Follow up, Councillor or Deputy Warden Molnar?
Oh, it was excellent. Thank you.
Any further questions? Comments? Okay. Then I guess, Curtis, are you there to represent the town of Ingersoll? Is that it? Okay. Okay. Curtis, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I take it you're representing the town of Ingersoll then on this issue?
I am. If council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
You have no comments to offer with regards to the planning department report then?
It has my full support.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Curtis from any of the members of council? Seeing none. And Curtis was the only other person that registered to speak to this? Okay. So we had no other people register to speak to this application, so we'll need to put the motion in to adjourn the public meeting, and Councillor Komisky.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Ryan, resolved that the council adjourn the public meeting and reconvene as Oxford County Council with Warden in the chair.
You've heard the motion. Is there any discussion? I'll call for the vote then. Those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. So then we have a motion for the Councillor Komisky, the next motion.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Ryan, resolved that the recommendation containing report number CP 2020-334 titled Application for Draft Plan Subdivision 32T-07007, Town of Ingersoll be adopted.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, then we'll call for the vote. Those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. It's unanimous. And we have no delegations or presentations. So that brings us down to consideration of correspondence. And the first one is from Southwest Integrated Fiber Optic Technology, and Councillor Mayberry.
Thank you, Warden Martin. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Warden Molnar. Resolved that correspondence from SWIFT titled SWIFT Monthly Dashboard August 2020 be received.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, then I will call for the vote. Those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. We have a piece of correspondence from Tim Lobson and Councillor Mayberry. I believe you have that resolution as well.
Thank you, Warden Martin. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Talbot. Resolved that the correspondence from Ingersoll resident Tim Lobson dated September 21st, 2020 regarding the proposed boundary adjustment between the Township of Southwest Oxford and the Town of Ingersoll be received and considered along with report number C 2020-248 titled Proposed Boundary Adjustment, Township of Southwest Oxford and Town of Ingersoll.
Any discussion? You've heard the motion. Seeing none, those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. That brings us down to reports from departments and community planning, and I believe Councillor Mayberry, you have that resolution as well.
Thank you, Warden Martin. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Talbot. Resolved that the recommendations contained in report number CP 2020-248 titled Proposed Boundary Adjustment, Township of Southwest Oxford and the Town of Ingersoll be adopted.
You've heard the motion. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. Those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. Okay, that brings us down to 9.2, Public Works. And I believe Deputy Warden Molnar, you have that to motion.
Thanks very much, Mr. Warden. 9.2.
The waste management agreement.
Waste management. I have the resolution. I have a question, or else I'm going to amend the resolution. So I'm going to introduce my amended resolution. It's been forwarded to the clerk. Resolved that PW Report 2020-40 be received as information, and further that any decision on staff direction regarding the service agreements be deferred until the referenced agreements are presented to council as supporting information. Myself, second by Councillor Kaminsky.
Yes, moved by 2020-40 be received as information, and further that any decision on staff direction regarding the service agreement be deferred until the referenced agreement are presented to council as supporting information. Do you wish to speak to the motion, Deputy Warden Mulner?
Very briefly, and I don't know if I'm supportive of the report. The report speaks to the financial implications from the county's perspective, but the resolution, as was circulated, is giving direction to execute waste management service agreements, and either one of the agreements are attached to the agenda. And I've got to be transparent. I have some understanding of what may be in the Tilsonburg agreement. I have no idea what's in the Southwest Oxford agreement. And that's what the direction of the original resolution was asking us to do. So, yeah, just for clarity, I think it's important that we get the agreements because that's what we're being asked to give direction on.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Mayberry.
So I am familiar with the Township of Southwest Oxford agreement, and I'm more than happy to pass the resolution as intended originally. I don't think there's any reason to hold it up, but I guess another 2 weeks or something is probably not going to kill anything. Other than we are providing a service of which we have no agreement to provide. So I guess there's a temporary sort of agreement, but I'd like to see this done as quickly as possible. And I'm very familiar with the Southwest Oxford agreement.
Okay. Thank you very much for your comments. Are there any further questions or comments, any members of council? Seeing none, those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried. That brings us down to the one on the drinking water operational plans, and Deputy Warden Mulner again.
Thanks, Mr. Warden. It's moved by myself, second by Councillor Mayberry. Resolved that the recommendations contained in report PW 2020-41 titled 2020 Drinking Water Operational Plans be adopted.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I will ask the question, and those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. In PW 2020-42, Braden Wells, Councillor McKay.
Moved by McKay, seconded by Peterson. Resolve the recommendations contained in report PW 2020-42, contract award, Brayton Well Water Treatment Plant, Mount Elgin, Township of Southwest Oxford, be adopted.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote then. Those in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion is carried. Brings us down to 9.3, it's corporate services, and again, Councillor McKay.
Moved by McKay, seconded by Peterson. Resolve the recommendation contained in report CS 2020-37, COVID-19 financial update and business plan review August, be adopted.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, and those in favor? Opposed, if any? The motion is carried. That brings us down to the intern long debt issue, and Councillor Peterson.
Moved by Peterson, second by Mulner. Resolved that recommendation contained in report number CS 2020-38 titled Internal Long-Term Debt Issue Renewable Energy Projects be adopted.
Any discussion? Councillor McKay.
A very attractive interest rate. Is this same rate available for any area municipalities seeking long-term borrowing from the county?
I can't comment on that. I'll have to ask. Lynn, are you there?
Yes, through the warden to Councillor McKay, absolutely. This rate has been calculated in accordance with our debt management policy, and it's available to our area municipal partners as well.
Follow up, Councillor McKay? No? Okay. Is there any other questions or comments then? Any of the members? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Those in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion is carried. The credit rating review, Councillor Peterson.
Moved by Peterson, second by Mulliner, resolved that recommendation contained report number CS 2020-39 titled Credit Rating Review 2020 be adopted.
Is there any discussion? It is good news considering the environment that's out there. It's very good news. So being no discussion, I will call for the vote then. Those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. And Councillor Birch, you have the one with regards to the service delivery review.
Thank you, Warden. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Lauder. Resolved that the recommendations contained in report number Warden 2020-07 titled Service Delivery Review Area Municipal Council Consultation Process be adopted.
I don't know if you did happen to the rest of them, Councillor Birch, but you cut out for some of the resolution, that's all. Would you want to cut it again?
I can repeat it to make sure that anyone who's following along hears. Hopefully I don't cut out this time, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Lauder. Resolved that the recommendations contained in report number Warden 2020-07 titled Service Delivery Review Area Municipal Council Consultation Process be adopted.
That was much better. Thank you very much. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, then I will call for, Deputy Warden Molnar.
Well, I would extend my thanks on the brief turnaround or the short turnaround to yourself, your leadership team, and just echo that, what does transpire, we'll be doing it all together. And I believe it's a very important first step to demonstrate our resolve in not just growing stronger together, but actually, finding new successful options for service delivery review that satisfy all our stakeholders. So thank you for that, sir.
You're quite welcome. Any further comments? Seeing none, I will call for the vote then. Those in favor?
Sorry, Warden, Councillor Birch.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councillor Birch, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Warden. I think that the timing of this, of course, is very great, especially with everything that we know is going on. But I do believe we, with what we saw today from the speech from the throne, there's going to be a lot of new avenues we have to look at. And just like other levels of government, one thing that I know that we're doing at the city is we're looking to make sure that anywhere that we can save money that isn't necessarily essential and direct, we're trying to do that. And I hope in the spirit of this, because we are going to be expending money for a professional, and we've worked quite a lot on the service delivery review already. I know that there's been some concerns noted by a few that have spoke to the possibility of not preferring all of the outcomes of the last review, and so let's spend some more money and do this. But I also know that with the new environment, we have to make sure that we are doing what's best and get more things happening out there that are beneficial to all of our ratepayers in Oxford County. And so in the spirit of looking for ways to save money, I think this is good news for the community. I just hope that those individuals that think it's a way of determining a different outcome than what was already discussed isn't going to take place. So I'll be watching the process closely. Thank you.
And thank you for your comments. The process as I see it, is the facilitator, when he is selected, will interview the 8 area municipalities and then compile what is important and bring a report back to county so that we can deal with it. So I just could not imagine trying to chair a meeting with 50 members in attendance all at the same time, and especially if we have to do it virtually. So hopefully, I believe this is the most practical way of trying to achieve what the resolution originally said. And with that, I think I've said enough. So is there any other comments by any of the members? Seeing none, I will call for the vote then. Those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. Nothing under unfinished business, no motions, notices of motions, but under new business, we had scheduled that we have a budget meeting, I believe, on November the 11th, and that is also Remembrance Day. No?
It's a regular.
It's a regular council meeting, and the our procedural bylaw says that if it falls on a holiday, our meeting will be rescheduled to, I believe it's the next day. Is that correct, Madam Clerk? The next day, but Remembrance Day is not a holiday, so we just wanted to know the consensus of council. Do you want to meet on the 11th, or when do you want to change that meeting to the 11th of November? That's here for discussion purposes. Councillor Peterson.
Yeah, I believe that's a morning meeting, and I think it's proper to change that meeting to another day, and I'm okay with going with the very next day, Thursday.
The 12th then.
Yes.
Councillor Komisky.
Oh, just a thought on it, that it is a morning meeting, but if we felt that changing it might cause some issues, if we moved it to an evening meeting, would that be a problem? We're all calling from home likely still at that point in time in anyway.
I don't think it would be, but I'm open for discussion. I think that way we at least could keep the same day available. That the thought process was, I'm quite sure that we would all like to be in our home communities for Remembrance Day services, and we can't do that and be here both. So I'll just, if I could just have a show of hands, those members that are supportive of just show a show of hands. That's all I want at this point.
Could I interrupt? Could I interrupt, please, Warden? Just because you cut out, I'm not too sure if we're voting in favor or against.
I'm just asking for those for direction, basically, is all I'm asking for. And I would like to know the number of members that are supportive of moving it to a night meeting as opposed to a morning meeting. So, and that's all I want at this point in time. And then we can shift it, and all the mail outs and everything that can be done can be adjusted at that point in time. But if you're not comfortable with that, I will entertain a motion moved and seconded, and we can deal with it that way. But I would just as soon have direction and we can carry on.
Councillor Birch, Warden.
Councillor Birch.
Thank you, sir. I would prefer the Thursday morning, the following day.
The 12th. Okay.
That way, if after we have any remembrance engagements and whatnot, we can still have time with our families to discuss the importance of all the people that have served.
Okay. So if we call your name, would you just let us know whether you prefer the Wednesday or the Wednesday night or Thursday morning? Can we do that, Madam Clerk? Okay.
Not really.
Well, I'll entertain a motion if somebody wants to put one on the floor.
Yeah, if Councilor Peterson's prepared to second, I would move that the remembrance date of the 11th of November be moved to the same time of day, 24 hours later on the 12th of November.
Okay, we now have a motion then. Councilor.
I will second that.
We now have a motion on the floor. Then any discussion? Seeing none, then I'll ask for the vote. Those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. It's unanimous. Okay. I don't need to read this about the 109th from Taiwan.
You can speak to it, just advise them.
Just going to say that our agenda package, you saw there is there's a virtual celebration of the 109th Day of Republic of China, and it's coming up, and there's going to be some filming sessions that happen here tomorrow. And there are some words to be said, and it's just to, because they usually do this live, and for obvious reasons they can't do this year, so they are going to do it virtually. And those of us that try to attend and have attended in the past are going to say a few words. It's going to be taped and recorded, and it will be played the night of the day of the celebrations in Toronto. So that's what that is all about. Any other comments? Councillor Birch?
Thank you, Warden. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Lauder. Resolved that council rise and go into a closed session to consider report number PW closed session 2020-44 regarding a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of lands by the County of Oxford.
You've heard the motion. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. So, okay, we are back in open session again, and we have consideration of matters arising from closed session. And Councillor Ryan, I believe you have the resolution.
I do, Warden. Moved by Ryan, seconded by McKay. Resolved that the recommendations contained in report number PWCS 2020-44 be adopted.
Any discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. That brings us down to bylaws. So, Councillor Lauder.
Thank you. I move by myself, result, and seconded by Councillor Komisky. Resolved that the following bylaws be now read a first and second time: 6257-2020 to 6261-2020 inclusive.
Thank you. Is there any discussion with regards to the resolution on the floor? Seeing none, those in favor, I'll call for the vote then. Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. Again, Councillor Lauder.
Moved by myself and second by Councillor Komisky. Resolved that the following bylaws be now given a third and final reading: 6257-2020 to 6261-2020 inclusive.
You've heard the motion. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote then. Those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Komisky. We now stand adjourned.